Hello, welcome back to The Road to Episode 8, my ongoing series where I chart the road to the release of Star Wars Episode 8 in December 2017. I really wish you could see what I do with my hands underneath the camera as I'm doing that spiel every single time, because I'm sure it's really interesting and entertaining and I don't even have control over it myself. And once again, we're not even talking about news from Episode 8, it's news about the spin-offs. First of all, before we get to all the Rogue One stuff, the Han Solo movie will start shooting in January of 2017. It has now been confirmed they're going to be doing it in London, and again, more news on that as it comes. The ball is rolling on that Han Solo movie. It's going to be really interesting to see where it turns out. I still have no idea how that is going to look, feel, or be received. That felt very sexual. Moving on from that, Rogue One. This is kind of, again, late news. As CP once said, you know, I'm taking something that you read about 3 months ago and I'm making a 20-minute video out of it. But it's a lot of details about Rogue One were quote-unquote leaked from a visual companion story book guide thing. Obviously, when these films come out, they have all these tie-in books, and one of them for Rogue One, the kind of test prototype pages were leaked online, and I'm going to show some of them to you now, which show kind of artwork and pictures and concept designs, I suppose, of the vehicles and the characters in Rogue One. But before I even get to that, it also gives us the name of all the main characters. So again, this is old news, but I'm going to go over it now. Felicity Jones plays Jyn Erso. We heard that in the trailer. It says she's a gifted soldier and warrior. Diego Luna plays Captain Cassian Andor, an officer in the Rebel Alliance. I'm assuming it's this guy who we saw in the trailer with her a few times. Jiang Wen plays Baze, a freelance assassin. I don't know who that is. Alan Tudyk plays the CGI figure K250, a Vol Strecker droid, and evidently an Imperial model, but teams up with the Rebels. So I mentioned that, I think, in the last video, where Alan Tudyk would probably play this CGI droid, but I didn't know that. I haven't even read this. I just copied and pasted it into my phone notes. So it's an Imperial droid who teams up with the Rebels. That's really interesting. We'll see how that goes. Again, this is a original trilogy era set film that will have more CGI than we're used to with those locations. So it'll be interesting to see how that blends in with everything else. And I just realised, I say it's interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see. I say that a lot in this series. I could just kind of just relegate this series to a series of videos where I just sit down and say, okay, this is the news, and it'll be interesting to see how it pans out. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Moving on, Riz Ahmed plays Bodhi, a rebel soldier. Pao, or Pao, P-A-O, is an alien who is described as a fierce warrior. I'm assuming it's this guy, and there's no indication of which actor plays that character, and it might not even be, it might not have a voice, it might just grunt and stuff, who knows. Donnie Yen plays Chirrut, a spiritual warrior. Interesting, a spiritual warrior, we'll see. It'll be interesting to see where that goes. Bistan, another alien who is described as a fierce warrior, so that might be this guy as well, I really don't know. And then finally, another piece of information is Ben Mendelsohn plays Director Krennic, the military director of the Empire to defend the Galactic Empire against the theft of mission rebels. So there's some information on the characters there. It takes me all the way back to when we had the reveal of the character names of The Force Awakens, and that seems like such a long time ago now. So there you go, some information on the characters, and we have these great kind of pieces of artwork that portray the Rebels and the Imperials. And as you can see in the Imperial one, Darth Vader is very prominent. So I mean, is this the first real official confirmation we're going to get him in the film? I would be very, very surprised, almost to the point where I would almost bet my left nut that he's going to be in the film, but I wouldn't quite make that bet, because I think there's still an outside chance that they might not go to that well, but I'd find it very hard to believe that they wouldn't. And this seems to be further confirmation that he will be in it, and they're probably saving him for the next trailer in terms of officially announcing or confirming that Vader will in fact be in the film. It just seems like such a big selling point apart from anything else. I mean, it fits naturally within the story to have him there, but just from a marketing point of view and selling the movie and making money, it feels like it's a no-brainer, right? There's some great images of these the new vehicles. There's this one here, which I mentioned in the trailer review, which looks like a tank. So it seems to confirm that, I mean, this is all legit, because we've seen this pretty much in the trailer, and it's some kind of land speeder tank vehicle with stormtroopers in it, and I think that looks really cool. The AT-ATs, or the AT-AT, which we saw in The Empire Strikes Back, those classic vehicles, we saw them at the end of the Rogue One trailer. That was one of the big shots. Like, wow, they're in the same sound. Doo 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 doo. Now, they're not called AT-ATs. They're called AT-ACTs. And I've forgotten what the abbreviation is, but I think it's like all-terrain action something vehicle. I don't know. Actually, it wouldn't be a vehicle, would it? I don't even know. I have no idea. I have no idea. I did see it. I did read it. It's completely gone from my head, so forget about that. I'll leave that in. Then we have this one, which is a TIE Striker. I think this looks awesome. I love the name TIE Striker. When I was a kid, I used to love like knowing all the the TIE Bomber and the TIE Interceptor. But this one is a TIE Striker, and I love that name. It's a striking name. Pun kind of intended, I guess. Then we have the U-Wing, which is another Rebel ship. This one looks really cool, and it ties in with the pantheon of the A-Wing, the B-Wing, the Y-Wing, the X-Wing. And also a confirmation of the black stormtroopers being called Death Troopers, and also these ones being called Shore Troopers. Now, I mentioned before we're going to see some kind of beach battle scene in the film, and so a Shore Trooper seems to fit in perfectly. I love that name, you know, and again, I love all those names like Scout Trooper and all that kind of thing, so it's adding more to that lexicon of Star Wars encyclopedic knowledge that a lot of us will kind of grow to have or already have about the older films and things like that. So yeah, that's pretty much it that we know and have seen from these kind of leaks, and I think that's pretty cool. I like seeing this stuff. It doesn't really spoil anything from the film, so even though it's a leak, it doesn't really give away too much. It's just kind of, these are who the characters are, and this is what some of the ships are going to look like, and so for me it's cool to see that stuff. Finally, at least a little tiny bit of Episode 8 stuff. Apparently there's been rumbles and rumours that Frank Oz has been in to record new audio for Yoda for Episode 8 with Rian Johnson. And you know, the source says that he's only there to just do the voice and not to do anything with the visual, you know, the character or anything like that, or to do a puppet. But that would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see if that happens indeed. But no, obviously, if you're not aware and you don't follow all of these videos, I kind of operate on the assumption that you've seen every single one, which is crazy. But I talked about the fact that Frank Oz came in to record dialogue for Yoda in The Force Awakens. That happened. It wasn't used, but it happened. And you can also argue that they could use that recording in Episode 8 if they wanted to. Are we going to see Luke commune with Yoda in some way through the Force? Assuming that he still can. And we saw at the end of Return of the Jedi, he still can after all after the balance of the Force was made. At least in Return of the Jedi, he could still see the ghosts of his father and Obi-Wan and Yoda. And I've talked about that before, and I'm not going to go into that anymore, my thoughts on the ghosts and whether or not they should or shouldn't be in the films. But will we see Yoda in Episode 8? It will be interesting to see. I've shattered the glass for myself now, and every time I say that, I'm going to realise I'm saying it, and it's going to just bring these videos to a grinding halt. And it'll be interesting to see how I deal with that in the future. Alright, okay, that's about it. What do you think about Frank Oz coming back to do Yoda for Episode 8? Do you think we should see Yoda in Episode 8? Or do you think that he should be left in the past and kind of just let those performances speak for themselves and kind of move on with the new characters and kind of just make do with Luke and Leia as the kind of original trilogy, kind of guardians of the new trilogy? We'll see what happens, and it'll be captivating to see what happens. It'll be mystifying to see what happens. It will be exciting to see what happens. It will be anticipatory to see what happens. It will be. So thank you for watching. Let me know what your thoughts on anything I've mentioned in the video, and I'll see you in the next one.